Hey there, welcome back to Tips Over Tea. I'm excited to introduce you to Jeanine today. We are going to be talking about some of the foundational habits or rituals that really support lasting change in your health and wellness and making it a doable thing. And doable has two O's. We'll talk about that as well. So make sure you go ahead and grab your tea, grab a friend, grab a notebook, and listen in. We'll see you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tips Over Tea. I am so excited to introduce you to Miss Jeanine. Jeanine, thank you so much for being on the show today. Welcome.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Well, I'm excited to hear because you were saying that you have some tips that are unique things to make you think, and I love things that make me think. So, what is one first tip that you have to make health? Well, actually, because for anyone who's like a grammar nerd, like I tend to be, we see doable has two O's. Would you tell us a little bit about that before we dive into the tips?
Yeah, we Doable is the name of the company that I'm with. And hey, Pooch. And so it's we wanted something unique. We wanted something memorable. We wanted something that was a play on words. And so we're a combination of health coaches and physicians and all that good stuff. So that's where it came from. We wanted people to feel we're always searching for something that's doable. And so that's how we came up with the name.
I love that. Doable, spelling it that way is definitely, it stands out, and it makes someone do a double take. It's like, huh, and then let me learn more about that. So I love that. So thank you for sharing that. So what's your first tip that is going to make me think health-wise? I'm excited to hear.
I think we all, when we think about the flip of the calendar and the flip of the new year, we have our minds go to working out and eating better, and those are very important components. But I think there's some under the hood sort of work that's very important because we like change is doable and we like them to last. We don't like this anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I think one of the first things that comes to mind is I laughed recently because I saw this thing on Instagram and it said, I wish I could drop my body off at the gym and then pick it up later. See ya. See you at 5.
I love that.
So it made me laugh, and it got me thinking about the Amazon Prime world that we live in. 2 days, show up now, I want it. Even though I don't absolutely have to have it now, I can get it now. So it's that mentality that reminds me to be patient. Not lazy, but patient, because everything has what's called a gestation period or a growth season. And just like a plant that requires water and sun and nutrients in the soil and time, we're the same way. And so what is the water, sun, and nutrients in the soil? How does that translate into us? Maybe it is cutting back on sugar. Maybe it is having a routine that involves movement and these things that we do, these habits, or I like to say habits sound so unconscious. I like to say rituals. Rituals that we partake in every day will manifest. That we can pull ourselves out of that that race and that paranoia and just pour into ourselves. With time, it will yield the results that we're looking for, which is not the roller coaster, which is not the hamster wheel. So patience and a plan is very important, but it requires us to step back a little bit, take a deep breath, release the death grip on when we think results should happen. So, and it requires trust and belief in the process, which is the work,
Yeah. You said so much that I could go back on. So one of the couple things. So one, I I created a book club around the book Atomic Habits right now. So I joined with a lady on Twitter, and we're going through the book. I've read it before, but I didn't really implement the stuff. But one of the things that, because you're like creating it small rituals, it enables you to activate the patient's muscle. And one of the things that I said that I would do this time in going through creating new rituals, I love the word rituals in place of habits. And then I also love habits, but I'll get to that. One of the things I said I was going to do is in making enjoyment and learning in the process towards a goal, my goal. Like because we reach a goal and then we're like, now what? So if I've made my goal to be like, what can I learn in this process of obtaining that goal? And that way it doesn't feel like all those little steps that I have to take are like, so they're taking forever, they're excruciating or whatever. So I like the word ritual because I hear intentional, and that way you're being intentional about what you're doing. You set like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm being intentional about it. And the only reason I would say the word habit is a good one is because when you're trying to do something new, it's good to have something that you do that's healthy for you that you don't have to think about. Like we brush our teeth without thinking about it, right? It saves some capacity in your brain to do some other things. So that's the only thing I think about with habit. And last thing, to your point, I wrote an affirmation. I don't quite remember what it is, but something about nature, because nature doesn't question like, how long is this going to take? When am I going to get there? And I'm like, we are nature, so just enjoy and just be in the moment. So those are some things that came to mind through that tip that I really love that you shared.
And I would love to just expand on one thing you said,
yeah.
Nikki. I think so many of us have been on vacation, possibly, where there's people that have a T-shirt that says, I survived the hike to, or I survived the road to. And you mentioned what you learn about yourself along the way. Mm-hmm. That is the whole point. Mm-hmm. Because let's take somebody who's climbing Mount Everest. Suppose they could be transformed via helicopter and plunked at the top and stand by a sign and have their picture taken. Mm-hmm. As opposed to the person who knows what it's like to have to go to the bathroom and not be able to on the side of a mountain, mm-hmm. to not be able to feel their fingers and their toes, mm-hmm. to be hungry, to look back and say, oh my gosh, I've come so far, but then to look forward and say, I still have a long way to go and appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Those are the puzzle pieces that we collect along the way in that contrast of not being there yet. That is what this, journey and our philosophy is all about, is gather yourself, because when you get up there, you will stay up there. Mm-hmm. And you will appreciate the parts of you that you never even knew existed. Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight that because it's so important.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. Love that. And that is why being intentional, creating rituals and habits, that's how that gets you off of the roller coaster. Because you're building. The thing that James Clear said in that book that I loved it. He's like, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. I'm like, that's such a beautiful thing. It's like, if results don't lie, like if you're seeing this and this is not what you want, then what are you doing that's creating that? So
right.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So next tip.
So I think one that's really helpful as well, and these are all kind of this is the hustle that everyone likes to talk about that nobody sees. And so this is where I feel these are the most profound shifts taking place, is not for public consumption. They're the choices we make when we know we have to make them. They're the things that we place our focus on. And so the next one is notice if you're visioning up or visioning down. Mm. And what I mean by that is we all vision down. And visioning down is worry. And with so many conditions staring us in the face these days, it's a challenge to not worry, because it pulls us out of the present and it brings us to a place that hasn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
But so does visioning up, which is hope. Hasn't happened yet. What if we can be in that space and direct our attention slightly to a different way, a lighter way, a more positive way, and build that momentum and become more positive. Not saying it's easy, but again, it's the work that I love to do on myself and with people. It's really these seeking the tweak shifts that are very profound, that it's often made to be some big dragon to slay outside of ourselves. We have to do this. No. We have to get real. We have to get down into our hearts, and we have to learn to shift our focus, which repetition is important for that. There's practices that we can put in place to do that. But a great way for all of your viewers, if they want to begin with, do I vision up or do I vision down a lot? I don't think I vision down a lot. Here's a little test you can do. When you wake up in the morning, did you leave the emotional baggage at the base of your bed or on the floor? And the emotional baggage is the rent, the mortgage, the tuition, the car payment, anything to do with finances, the worry that immediately goes towards a loved one or a sick friend or family member. These are natural concerns, and we all have them. Do we just pick up where we left off the night before with everything we've worried about that we've laid at the foot of our bed, and then bing, the eyes open, and are we right back on that low vibe thinking? So if you could consciously set a reminder, or put something in your room, a visual reminder, maybe it's a new plant, maybe it's a photo, maybe it's something to remind you when your eyes open, you can choose higher vibe or you can choose lower vibe. And that will set the momentum in place for the rest of the day. It might seem like it doesn't, but it's very powerful. And those thoughts, there's been so many studies around the power and the momentum of our thoughts. And typically they say, if you can think a positive thought for 17 seconds, another one will join it. And then another one will join it. Equally, the negative thoughts build this energetic big snowball that it's hard to get away from. So again, placing the control back into an individual's hands to say, do I want to create powerfully from a place of lack and what's wrong and look through the eyes of negativity? Or do I want to say, hey, I love that my partner or my spouse hit the coffee pot. That is such a beautiful sound in the morning. Or, to wake up to hearing my puppy or my cat or the sunshine. It doesn't have to be anything huge. And that's where we kind of trip ourselves up, is we can have all of this stuff going on in our lives that really is consuming, but it takes one little thought, one little awareness to focus on something positive. It could be the coffee. It could be your warm pillow. It could be anything that makes you feel good. That's the indicator. Does it make you feel good? I don't care how superficial you think it is. It makes you feel good to know that you've got, your juicer out and you're going to juice something, or you've got some nice warm boots to put on, or anything. So do that little experiment and see what you think of first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I love that. I anybody who has an Android phone, I can't speak for Apple, but the Google the alarm, you can add like your own statements to it. So as it wakes up, I have mine saying, "Happy to be alive. Good morning, Nicole." Something like that. So that could be another trick if you keep your phone in your room. I know some people take their, which is also smart. But yeah, I love that the indicators, like what can, if you have a tendency to go to refer back to the emotional baggage, like what can you do to shift that mindset? Because it sets the tone for the entire day. And as you said, the 17 seconds followed by, it's like a snowball, and
you start to attract like that type of energy as well, and you get better ideas for things like the troubles that you've been dealing with. You can think more clearly and more level-headed.
So true, Nikki. We kind of soften a little bit and not feel like we have to fix other people or fix situations, but we do get these little nuances that show up in our lives that steer us in a direction or give us a little bit of a reprieve or be able to take a deeper breath. It doesn't necessarily fix the problem, but none of this is about fixing anything outside of ourselves. All of this work is about being a magnet for more of what we want, more of what we want to feel, more of the people we want to be around. So it really does begin and end with us and releasing the grip on all the control.
I love that. Yeah. It feels counterintuitive, but it really works.
It feels so good to wake up sometimes. Like cortisol is addicting.
Yeah.
And it's like we go default right back to everything that's wrong. And sometimes I'm not diminishing. And there's a lot of stuff out there that is cause for concern. But if we change ourselves and we change our vibe, it's going to be there. So why don't we work on ourselves to be able to fortify ourselves and show up differently and possibly have a better impact and protect ourselves? Like you said, when you get up, you have, what was that saying you said on your phone?
Good morning. I'm glad to be alive.
Good morning. I'm glad to be alive. I have, Mel Robbins has the high five habit. And for years, I write on the door in my bathroom shower when it gets steamy, I heart me. And so that's always been my high five. And I'm like, my cells are listening. I have to be nice to them. There's enough negativity out there. So I'm like, I love me. Okay. And, maybe that's all it is. And I take it from there. So yeah, visioning up versus visioning down. Very, very powerful. Happens with more repetition, but it's kind of like a secret weapon.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like it makes you more resilient to all of the things that could bring you down otherwise. So I love that. Awesome. You got one more tip?
I do. This might seem like duh, Jeanine. But I guess this tip comes from just working, I've been coaching since 2007. So my experience has shown me that a lot of people want to work on all sorts of things, but very few of them come in with a goal or a vision for what they really want. And so a lot of your viewers are probably familiar with SMART goals and things like that, but I've onto the end of it because measurable goals, realistic goals, timely goals, they're all very important. But if it's not yours, or what I really want to say, if it ain't yours and it's not your goal, why is that? Because it's short-lived. And if you have a friend, a partner, a spouse, or a doctor saying, you need to do this, that's not the goal. It's got to be heart-centered. It's got to be something that comes from within. And the coaching process can help somebody to find what that is, because we're so often used to showing up for the people that we care about, the people that we love, putting ourselves on a back burner. Very honorable, but not healthy. So when we can get really clear on what it is that we want, why do we want to quit smoking? Do we have somebody like, do we have to walk 5 blocks in the snow to go have a cigarette because the people we live with are going to, have a fit? It's all very well-meaning stuff, but the truth of the matter is that it can be a very lonely place, and we can become a gang of one. When we feel so strongly and so aligned with wanting to make a shift, be it smoking, exercising, weight loss, sleep, perhaps ending a relationship with a very toxic person who feels like we're just bleeding out and we got to be our own tourniquet. There's so much that goes into that, and you realize you might annoy a few people or you might upset a few people, but it's very freeing to open up your hands and see who stays and see who flies away. It's scary, but it's very freeing. And so that's a gift that we can give ourselves when we ask ourselves this one question: what do I really want? What do I really want? Gosh, I really, really, really want to quit smoking. I'm wasting a ton of money every week. I'm really, I'm wheezing when I go up the stairs. Sounds very different than I got to quit smoking because my wife is nagging me. And we want we want stuff to stick. We want traction. So whatever the individual wants is what's most important. And the cool thing is, you probably can relate, Nikki, and I think a lot of people can, when you start making changes in one area of your life, it does spill over into another. I mean, if you would have told me years ago that this deodorant is toxic and these plants clean the air in the house, I'd be like, wait a minute, I'm just trying to eat better, right? Now, how does it spill over into everything? Our thoughts, what we put on our skin, who we hang out with. And so it doesn't matter where it starts. It just needs to be their choice of where it starts. And then it kind of just spreads.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're trying to change something on behalf of someone else, then it's like you're doing it begrudgingly. It won't last. It'll be so much tension. You'll start to have you could potentially start to resent that person for making you do this that you don't want to do. And it's not helpful for anybody in this situation. So, and it is something powerful about choosing and deciding and then doing it for yourself.
Right.
And just like you mentioned, how there'd be some people who fall away, those are probably the people who are keeping you where you are. Because a lot of people, the whole concept, misery loves company, it's not even intentional. It's not like they're like, I'm miserable, I want you to be miserable too. It's just that's at that moment, that's who they are, and that's what they relate to. And so when you elevate, they're like, you've changed. There's some, and it just, you're no longer on the same level as them, and they just don't understand, and then they'll fall away or try to bring you back down. Just depends on what type of support you have around you.
Right. I mean, that familiarity, whether it's good or bad, to them feels like, I think when one person is choosing a healthier path, people who aren't ready for that. And again, just as well as I do, no judgment. We've all got our things, right? But when one person elevates and there's that separation, there's this anxious, frenzied feeling from the people who do feel like there's a spotlight on them because of their own habits. And that's why it does take a village, but it also requires knowing when you're being in your sovereignty and saying, I'm doing this because I'm going to break a generational curse of this doesn't run in my genes. This runs in my habits. My mother did it. My grandmother did it. My great grandmother did it. And it's what we do. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's always a really fun conversation, though. I'm a big soul food person. I'm a big traditional person. I come from a big Italian family in New York, and we appreciate that. So, but I honor traditions, and I also have learned how to tweak some of them and how to keep for lack of a better word, sanctity of them. They're important. They're soul food at its finest. So, it really is a whole person approach.
Yeah,
it really is.
Absolutely. I love it. I love all three of those tips. They are really centered on taking responsibility for your life, your health, owning who you are, appreciating and loving who you are. And that is what makes health doable. It really is, because, for one, you define what health is for you, and then you do all those three tips and voila. I love it.
I'm glad. That's kind of the stuff that not too many people, it's not at the forefront. It's always gym and reps and selfies and abs and smoothies. And it's like, we've missed the point if we make this about calories, if we make this about fitting in, because I actually think it's more fun to fit out. I think you agree. Right. So
you see my shirt? It says "Go your own way."
Oh, yeah. You can go your own way.
Yep. So yes, absolutely. Love it. It's been a great conversation. And you already know 30 minutes goes by so quick, especially with us. We can talk for hours. So before we start to wind down, I definitely want to give you the opportunity to share how people, I mean, it'll be in the description too, but how people can get in touch with you, work with you, what if you have any offers you'd like to share, please feel free to do that now.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, as we've mentioned, the organization is named Doable. So it's dooable.com, 2 O's. And if you visit that website, you can learn more about the team that I'm part of, the physicians that are on the team, and how we help organizations to save money by needing less healthcare and kind of breaking the chains of the traditional systems that have been put in place and actually getting people healthier. So that there's a lot of information on there. I also offer private coaching in a 12-week, I call it the Doable Health Club, where we address and explore some of the things that we talked about today. There's a lot of food and exercise stuff there as well. It's very customized for someone's goals. There's also the components that we feel have fallen flat in so many other programs, that it's getting to the root of how do I self-sabotage? How does my mindset tell me I'm not?
Oh, I think we lost you for a little bit.
Yeah.
There you are.
So that's the Doable Health Club. So
we lost you for a little bit.
So you can email me.
Sorry. It was I think the timing
That's okay.
off. It paused on the mindset piece, but when you were talking about the 12-week Doable Health Club. So
yeah, the 12-week. So people can, if anybody's interested, they can email me at Jeanine.Finelli at doable.com and learn more about my private programs, group programs with friends. It's like 2022 is asking us to rise to a level that we've never had to before. And I want to be a part of that for myself. And I want to be a part of that for anybody who says I'm worthy. And 2022, man, it's here. So we must bring our best selves. We must.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So much could be said about that. We have to. We really do. Awesome. I love that. I love that 12 weeks. A lot can happen in 12 weeks. So that's really, really cool. And yes, the corporate health structure, to be able to save money and get my people healthier, like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it really is. And now is you either do it or you don't. And there's consequences to all choices, some good, some not so good, but you either do it or you don't. And especially now.
Absolutely. Well, awesome. This has been a wonderful chat. I've really enjoyed it. You shared some really good nuggets. So thank you so much for your time and knowledge. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Nikki. I always love being in your presence. You have the most beautiful vibe, and I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you and your viewers and share our message. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Those of you who have caught us live, thank you so much. Those of you who are catching the replay, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you share, like, subscribe, click the bell, and stay in touch with us and reach out to Jeanine. She's amazing. You will definitely benefit from working with her, or share with your HR folks to head on over to Doable as well. So with that, I want to bid everyone adieu. Ciao.
Wow. Bye, Bella.
Love it.
Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click the bell so you'll be notified anytime we upload a new video or go live. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to post it in the comments. We're always checking that. In the meantime, have a great